Angelina's Lucky Penny. The Swan Princess, the Swan Princess. Angelina and her best friend Alice sang together as they skipped down the path to ballet class. The best movie ever. And this afternoon we get to see it, Angelina exclaimed. She couldn't believe her good luck. Angelina skipped on, but Alice called to her. Angelina, wait, where's your ribbon? Angelina checked her head. I had it on when we left home, she said. She searched all over the ground, but there was no sign of the ribbon. She would have to go to ballet class without it. It was a very busy ballet class. Miss Lily's students were practicing their steps for the Theatre Royal audition the next day. Now you, Angelina, said Miss Lily. Angelina leaped into the air, twirled around in a circle, and landed. But oops, she wobbled a bit on her toes as she finished. Darling, said Miss Lily, think about those steps. You must be absolutely still after you've landed. Angelina's face fell. She had tried so hard to keep still, but it was difficult. Would she ever get it right? Angelina watched unhappily as Priscilla Pinkpaws took her turn and landed perfectly. Beautiful, darling, chimed Miss Lily. You see, Angelina, that is how you must do it. Angelina tried to push away all her bad feelings. She would just have to work harder, she decided. Come on, Angelina, or we'll be late for the movie, said Alice after class. I'm sorry, Angelina said firmly, but I can't go to the movie. I've got to go home and practice my dance routine. On their way home, Angelina and Alice played leapfrog. As Angelina sprang over Alice's shoulder, she felt the bag slip off of her arm. The bag slid along the ground and stopped just short of a puddle. When Angelina bent down to pick up the bag, she noticed a coin lying in the puddle. Hey, it's the lucky penny. It stopped your bag from getting wet, said Alice excitedly. Then Angelina spotted something else. You're right. It is a lucky penny. Look what I found, she said, lifting her hair ribbon from the tall grass beside the path. She tied the ribbon on her head and said, Hurry up, Alice. We're going to be late for the movie. And we still have to get Henry. But Angelina, don't you need to go home and practice? Asked Alice. Angelina shook her head. I've got a lucky penny. I don't need to practice, she said as she raced down the path. A few minutes later, Angelina, Alice, and Henry entered the village hall and searched for the empty seats. Once they were seated, Henry turned to Angelina and whispered, Please, can I see it now, Angelina? Angelina handed the lucky penny to her little cousin. Be careful, Henry. It's very special, she said. She turned the coin over and showed him the date. See, that's the year I was born. Oh, gasped Henry. When the lights dimmed, Angelina hastily dropped the penny back into her bag. She was so excited about the movie that she didn't notice that the penny had missed the bag. It bounced on the floor and rolled away into the darkness. Priscilla Pinkpaws will be disappointed when I get the part, said Angelina, as the Mouselings walked home after the movie. Watch this. She sprang along the path, spun around in the air, and toppled suddenly to the ground. What happened? Angelina stammered. Where's the penny? I'm sure it's in your bag, said Alice. But it was not. Angelina dumped her things onto the ground, and Alice and Henry helped her sort through them. The penny wasn't there. Angelina's heart sank. It's gone, she sighed. No wonder I can't do the step. We've got to find that penny. The Mouselings rushed back to the village hall. The doors were locked, but Angelina saw that 2 wooden planks in the back door were loose. She pushed the planks apart and tried to squeeze through the gap, but she was too big. Will you try, Henry? She pleaded with her cousin, who was the only one small enough to fit. Henry peered through the gap. He didn't like the dark, but he wanted to be brave for Angelina. All right, he squeaked as he squeezed his little body through the crack. Just look for anything round and shiny. Angelina called after him. A moment later, Henry popped back out. He proudly dumped an assortment of shiny round objects on the ground. "Well done, Henry," Angelina praised him as she and Alice began sifting through the objects. But there was no penny. "I'm sorry," Henry said in a tiny voice as he walked home beside Angelina. "It's not your fault, Henry," said Angelina. She took Henry's paw and gave it a squeeze. Then Angelina and Henry heard someone calling from down the street. "Shouldn't you be at home practicing, Angelina?" Priscilla and her twin sister Penelope were sitting on a low stone wall. Angelina tried to ignore them, but Henry said boldly, "She doesn't need to practice 'cause she found a lucky penny." The twins fell into a fit of laughter. "A lucky penny?" howled Penelope. "There is no such thing." Priscilla jumped off the wall and began to twirl. "Besides," she said, "I don't need luck to win the audition. I'm the best dancer." Angelina knew that Priscilla was a good dancer, and now that the lucky penny was gone, Angelina would have to work very hard to earn the part. As soon as Angelina got home, she started practicing. She was still working on her steps late into the evening. Again and again, she leaped across the room, spun into the air, and landed in front of her mirror. "I've nearly got it," Angelina said aloud after landing firmly on her toes. But she returned to her starting position and practiced the steps again. They had to be perfect. When Angelina and Alice arrived at Miss Lily's ballet school the next morning, Henry was waiting there for them. "This is for you, Angelina," he said proudly, holding out his paw. "It's your lucky penny." Angelina grasped the penny and checked the date. "Oh, thank you, Henry," she exclaimed. Priscilla watched him from across the room. She made a face at Angelina, but Angelina just smiled back at her. "Take your places, darlings," called Miss Lily. Priscilla's audition was first, and she performed the steps perfectly. When she was finished, she stepped back into line, very pleased with herself. "And now, Angelina, it's your turn," announced Miss Lily. Angelina took a deep breath and stepped forward. She let the music carry her across the dance floor. She leaped gracefully into the air and twirled around and landed steadily on one slipper. Her eyes closed and her arms stretched upward. After the audition, Angelina waited nervously. Miss Lily and a lady from the Theatre Royal spoke together in hushed voices. They reviewed Miss Lily's notes and then smiled at each other. Miss Lily nodded her head. "Now, my darlings," she said dramatically, "the results. Angelina will dance the part." The Mouselings gathered at Henry's house after the audition. Angelina spun Henry around and hugged him tightly. "Oh, Henry," she exclaimed, "thanks to you, I got the part. But where on earth did you find my penny?" Henry untangled himself from Angelina's arms and reached under the bed. He pulled out a glass jar full of pennies. "I've got lots of lucky pennies," he announced. Angelina and Alice looked at each other with wide eyes and then giggled. Angelina knelt beside Henry and held out the penny he had given her. "Would you look after this one for me, Henry?" she asked. "Okay," said Henry brightly. He dropped the penny into his jar and said, "I'm going to be very lucky, aren't I?" "You are, Henry," Angelina said tenderly. The end.